Okay, hello everybody. I hope y'all are all doing good. I'm going to read a story today from an encounter, and this is from one of our group members on our Facebook group, Bigfoot Encrypted Research with Tim T in Florida and Winnett. So this is an encounter, a sighting, an encounter that he shared on our Facebook group, and he shared it in a couple other Facebook groups as well. And I asked him, I messaged him and asked him if I could read it on my channel here. So he said yes, so I'm going to read it. Alright, so I'm going to turn this, let me get this turned a little bit here. I don't want to have my back right to the camera. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to read this. He said I had permission to read it. Okay, so this is from Daniel Gonzalez Perez. Okay, here's his story. It was the summer of 1989. My name is Daniel Gonzalez, and you are welcome to use my name. I am now disabled and live in the state of Georgia. This occurred right on the Pacific Crest Trail in Oregon in the Three Sisters Wilderness area at the foot of these three volcanoes. I am a retired mechanical engineer. At the time I lived in Hood River, Oregon. The Northwest is the mother lode of these creatures. I have never had a psychological issue, nor have I ever needed any related help. I was an avid hunter and had hunted this area numerous times in the previous 10 years. My camp was approximately 6 hours on horseback after a vehicle could no longer drive. This is an awe-inspiring mountain area with very large timber yet open meadows. On this trip, my son, along with two teenage friends of his, and I decided to backpack in. We started at the crack of dawn and arrived at the camp around noon. This trip was just to explore for the upcoming hunting season, so my only firearm was a .44 Magnum revolver I would always carry into the woods. When we finally arrived, we cooked, ate lunch, and proceeded to scout the area. The day went without any unusual event, and we were excited to see abundant game. After it got dark and we went to sleep around 10 p.m., all four of us in a light nylon tent with semi-transparent material, and me being a very light sleeper, perhaps as a result of my Vietnam history. At about 2 to 3 a.m., I was woken up by very, very heavy bipedal steps approaching the tent. There was a full moon. The person stopped and I could see a very large shadow, and I assumed it was just his proximity to the tent blocking the moonlight. But along with that, there was a very loud breathing, which I could only associate with a large animal. By that time, I began to become alarmed. I was sure that it was not a bear because I heard the steps from quite a ways, perhaps 30 yards, and they were definitely bipedal, and bears do not walk like that for extended distance. At this moment, I believed there were humans trying to scare us or rob us, so I grabbed my revolver and out loud said, "Do not come any closer. I have a gun and we'll shoot." The breathing continued for perhaps 30 more seconds. He could not have been further than 3 feet from our tent. By this time, all four of us were very awake, but then all of a sudden we could hear the steps again, this time walking away. I immediately unzipped the tent door and looked in the direction of the steps, and with the full moon and no more than 15 yards, We saw this incredibly large, hairy animal, at least 8 feet tall, probably more, and using my hunting experience, I judge his weight at no less than 800 pounds. He heard our noise, turned around. We could see his human-like face. The moonlight illuminated him clearly. He let out a blood-curdling, hair-raising scream, growl, combination that echoed throughout the mountains. We were all terrified. I knew that my revolver could not stop a beast that size before it could reach us. If he chose to charge, but he turned away, walking very fast and occasionally looking back, and we never heard from it again. I know there's a lot of skepticism, but I have no doubt such species exist. There were 4 of us. We all saw it clearly. We talk about that experience to this day, 30-some years later. And when I asked the then teenagers if they remember, they all say as though it happened yesterday. These boys are now grown. These boys are now grown men who pursue the hunting sport, including my son, and they all have had additional, less dramatic signs, noises, small rock thrown at the tent at night, etc. For many years we did not talk with anyone other than amongst ourselves, but nowadays there are many sightings. Please remember we lived for more than a century with mountain gorillas, and it was only relatively recent that we discovered them. True story. And this was from our Facebook group member, Daniel Gonzalez Perez. So thank you, Daniel. Thank you for sharing this with us and for letting me read it on the channel here, on the YouTube channel, and sharing this. Alright, so if you haven't joined our Facebook group yet, you can join. You can get on here and join. I've just got three questions on there for you to answer, and you can join, and you can learn a lot here. There's a lot going on with the Bigfoot, cryptids, Sasquatch, skunk ape. There's a lot more going on than just being a dumb ape walking around in the woods. And you can get on here and join, and you can learn a lot. And none of us really know everything there is to know. You'll see some of us on here are group experts, but I don't really think there's an actual expert. Although some people do have a lot more knowledge than others of what's going on here with these. And a lot of these stories you hear, like Daniel's here, you'll hear them saying that they look human, or they have a human appearance to them. You'll hear stuff about them screaming or a language. You'll hear a lot of things like that. Alright, and apes can't talk, but yet you'll hear a language. Also, we keep our group a safe place. It's a safe place for anybody to share. We don't allow, and we don't tolerate anybody doing laughing emojis on any of our posts. We don't allow being ridiculed or bullied. We don't allow any of that. We keep this a safe place for everybody to share. Alright, so again, thank you, Daniel, and hope y'all enjoyed this story.